So as Shakespeare once said, half frame bag or full frame bag? That is the question. So the frame of your bike is by far the most important area when it comes to bikepacking, and time again I see people not utilising this area correctly. Firstly, you can put stuff close to the centre of gravity, giving you more stability on the bike. Secondly, a lot of the bags, they have dividers in them, so you can basically systematically structure where you're going to put your gear, creating order from chaos. And lastly, you can be really creative in this area. There are a lot of different types of bags now available. But of course the big question is if you go with the full setup, where do you put the water bottles? And we'll look into that as well. All right, let's dive into it. So first up is the very popular half frame bag, and depending on the size of your frame depends on how big this is going to be. This one's around 3.5 litres, but of course you can get ones up to 5-6 litres if you have an extra large frame. The first thing you must remember is you don't want one which has zips on either side and just one big compartment, because then everything gets really messy very quickly. You're just kind of rummaging around trying to find what you're looking for. So most bags today, or good quality bags, will come with 2 dividers. We've got one here. Basically, I'll put toiletries in this section here, and then the larger section, I'll put chargers, maybe camera, batteries, maybe some items of clothing or some food, etc. And a lot of the bags today, they'll have extra pockets in them here, so you can put maybe whatever it is, cards or thin items in here. And that just allows you to be more structured, because it's so important. You can just open up and find what you're looking for straight away, especially if you're in a situation where you've got bad weather. You just want to keep riding. Most of the bags on the market are very similar in size and shape and design. Just remember that your straps here can interfere with the bags on the Toptube, so be aware of that. If you're using a half frame bag, do not make the rookie mistake. Make sure you've got side release bottle cages installed, or you're going to have to stop your bike, get off it and try to squeeze your water bottles out every time. Trust me, I've been there. That was an embarrassing situation. Full frame bag. So this one is 6 litres because it's a small frame bag, but you can go a lot bigger than that, so you can really fit a lot in if you have a large frame bike. At the top it's very similar, so you know I've got one compartment for my toiletries, another compartment for cables and for my drone, etc. And then you've got this compartment at the bottom. I find this is really good for something like a camping stove, which is heavy. It's really close to the centre of gravity, so I love having that third option at the bottom here. Of course, just remember that this area is very close to the road, so it's going to get sprayed with water and dirt. So make sure you buy a bag that's got really good protection in this area. You'll see with this restrap one, they've got a special material here which is easy to wipe clean. And of course, it's fully waterproof. If you want to, you've got here 2 compartments, but you can basically make this into one full compartment. And that's very handy if you've got any large items which are kind of weird shaped to fit into here. And also most of the time they have a divider. As you see, I've got a divider here, so I can make 2 compartments from one here as well. So yeah, I mean, full frame bags for me are just amazing. They create a lot of structure and organization to your gear. You can fit so much in here, and it's right in the center of the bike, which is the best place to be putting all your heavy stuff. So I love you, full frame bag. So your frame is completely full of bags. Where are you going to put your water? Let's look at the options. So top loader handlebar bags may have an option for water, but it's not ideal if you've got drop bars. Aero bars are always good, either underneath or on top. Then you've got food pouches, always a winner. Forks, very popular, just make sure you've got one on each side. The Downtube, definitely. Bladders, not my favourite, but an option for some people for sure. You could buy a bracket for your saddle and then have one on either side of your saddlebag. And if you go with a rear rack, I'm sure there's going to be places to put your water on there. But the best place to put water is... Hydration vests have become unbelievably popular in the last few years. It's not a big deal carrying a few litres on your back, especially if you've got a good bag that's well fitted. You don't really notice it so much, and of course during the ride it's getting lighter and lighter. So for me, this is a big win. In an ideal world, having both in your inventory is your best option. But I understand they're expensive, and if you're just starting out, then it's based on 3 fundamentals. Number 1, how big your frame is. Number 2, whether you're camping or credit card bikepacking. And number 3, the length of your journey. So for example, when I first started out, I was doing a lot of camping. I have a small frame bike and I was doing long journeys. I bought myself a full frame and that was the best option by far. Today I do shorter trips. I don't do so much camping, so I use a half frame bag a little bit more. And fun fact, if you look at all the rig setups for the Tour Divide this year, so many of them had full frame bags, custom made, fitting the whole of the frame area. And the reason for that is simple. That's where you want all your gear to be. So you can, if you want, have a custom made frame bag. A lot of the manufacturers today, I know Restrap do it, where you can basically send them your frame measurements and they will make one which fits all the area. And that's very great for utilizing space, but of course it will be a lot more expensive than buying a standard bag like this. The classic Toptube bag, they're usually around 1 litre, very straightforward design. So you've got 2 options, one with a zip, which is probably a little bit more waterproof, or there's the side openings one, which usually has like a magnetic strip here, so it shuts back down very easily. They both have advantages and disadvantages. I think accessing stuff in here, it's easy to have that lid lift up. Inside, they usually have a small compartment. So for example, for your credit cards and such. This Restrap one has an elastic strap in here, so you can put things, stop them from rattling about. The other thing you need to remember now is that a lot of bikes come with mounts where the top tubes go, because these are such a popular item to have while bikepacking. So you can now mount them to the bike without any straps. This Restrap one has holes in it for that mounting experience. Is that the right word? Experience? For that mounting experience. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Large top tube, becoming very popular in the last few years alone. And one of the reasons for that is that the top tube is one of the best places to access stuff without you having to get off the bike. So you find a lot of endurance cyclists and races are now using large top tubes. If you've been bikepacking a lot, you'll probably find that your top tube has been overfilled at times, or it's like so full in there that it just becomes impossible to get things out. So now having a 2 litre one, things are spread out, there's more space in here. A real big win. If you want something in between a normal Toptube bag and a large one, then they do like a 3/4 length one as well. Downside for me, one of the biggest downsides of having a bag like this is that yes, you can get your bike maintenance at the bottom here maybe, and then maybe put your phone and maybe put some food or such here, but it tends to, at certain points, it's going to get a bit messy. Things are going to move about. And if you overload this space, then it gets really messy trying to find where's this, where's that. So in that case, that's when you should have 2 bags on your top tube. The rear top tube, as I like to call it, which attaches to the saddle post and the top tube frame, I really love this idea, because as I mentioned to you before, is that you want to turn chaos into order when it comes to all your bikepacking gear. So the more compartments you have, the more bags you have, the more of a system you're going to have. Of course, buying 2 bags is going to be more expensive than buying 1. With a budget solution, then the larger top tube bag is better. Another great area to store stuff is the Downtube, and a lot of modern bikes now come with mounts, so you can put basically a bottle cage there and then put a bottle of water, or just put an empty bottle of water and put stuff in it, such as your maintenance gear. And then of course you can buy bags now that go around that bottom tube. They're usually around 1 litre, 1.5 litres, and once again it's just heavy stuff that can go there. So one way to be creative is using straps and strapping stuff to your frame as well. Even with a full setup and lots of bags on, you can even squeeze more. So for example, your mini pump. Maybe you're not going to need it for the trip, but it's there just in case you get a flat tire. Instead of it being in your bag in the way of other things, just strap it to your frame. In addition, say for example, you're going to be on a gravel bike with big tires, so this is 50mm, and even if you go tubeless, you're going to probably want to carry 1 tube with you, just in case you have a real major problem and you just want to fit a tube in. So Look at this, look how big it is. That's a chunky piece and a heavy item that I don't really want in my bags in the way. So a nice simple strap. This one's from Restrap. Put it on my Downtube, close to the center of gravity, away I go. Hopefully I'll never use it, but it's there, easy access if I do. So lastly, on the modern gravel bikes today, you can actually access the inside the Downtube and have a compartment there. That's very handy to put like an air tag in there. Someone tries to steal your bike, or if you're flying with it, etc. You can also just, you know, put a bag in there and squeeze in stuff. It's going to be fully waterproof inside. So another great option to squeeze stuff in, especially close to the center of gravity once again. So that was the frame section. I hope you found some of that useful. Let me know in the comment section what you think. And we're moving on now to the rear section of the bike, and when that's available, it will be here. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.